Okay, you know what? I'm going to pause the recording here. I think I have a smoke alarm that the
That's what
battery
it
needs to be
sounds like.
changed because it
That's what
keeps
I've been
beeping
hearing.
at me. Hold on, I want to pause it and then we'll. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. We're pushing these back to Monday now. As we used to do these on Sunday. We're still doing it on Sunday, but now it's being posted on Monday. This is Geezerology Gazette for the week of October the 4th. And we're going to talk a little bit of news, and we're going to try something new today. We're going to do a movie review. Bob watched the movie Fight Club this week for the first time, so he's going to tell us what he thought about Fight Club. But first of all, Bob, what you got for us? Couple news items for us?
Yeah, I've got something here that's near and dear to my heart. It warms the cold little cockles of my heart and makes my toes all tingly. A couple of my favorite musicians, John Mellencamp and Bruce Springsteen, have teamed up for the very first time. They've cut a single that's been released. It's going to be on Mellencamp's upcoming new album, expected to be out sometime next year. It'll be his 25th studio album. Anyway, the track is called Wasted Days. It's been released along with an official music video. It's an upbeat acoustic number written, produced by Mellencamp, and it's got Springsteen on vocals and guitar. And it's a song near and dear to my aging boomer heart because it deals with late life crisis. There's a lot of existential questions. And here's a couple lines from the song. How many summers still remain? How many days are lost in vain? Who's counting out these last dramatic years? How many minutes do we have here? So anyway, and Springsteen said that he spent some time in Indiana with Mellencamp, and he's worked on 3 songs that are going to be on Mellencamp's album. So anyway, this is something that's really in my wheelhouse, and I'm looking forward to this coming out. And you can, find the song and the video online. A couple other things of note with Mellencamp that he's done that's kind of interesting. He's teamed up with Turner Classic Movies, and back in September he was a guest programmer on TCM, and he curated 2 nights of films. And he selected Tortilla Flat, Cool Hand Luke, and the Misfits for one night, and then The Fugitive Kind on the Waterfront and East of Eden on the second night that he curated the movies. And then Mellencamp's got a forthcoming tour next year, providing everything goes okay. And TCM is sponsoring that tour, which is really significant because that's the first time he's ever had a tour sponsored in his entire career. And he also did something with TCM where he was involved in a discussion focusing on how small towns are portrayed in movies. And you can see all of this on TCM's YouTube page, where it's got a bunch of Mellencamp's videos and such. And last thing with Mellencamp, he had a documentary called The Good Samaritan Tour 2000 that came out earlier this year, and it was released with a companion live album of the same name. And the documentary is narrated by Matthew McConaughey, and it's got special contributions by Nora Guthrie. And it's a documentary about Mellencamp's 2000 tour, in which he played all the shows across the country, and they were all free. So anyway, that's what's going on with Mellencamp and Springfield.
How about Mellencamp and Springsteen? I mean, not Springfield.
I say Springfield.
Yeah. That's not Rick Springfield. It's Bruce Springsteen, right?
Had my college town on my head. Yes, Bruce Springsteen.
Those 2 guys back in the 80s, I remember. I always thought that Mellencamp was like a poor man Springsteen. He was,
or a Midwest version.
Yeah, Midwest version.
Yeah, a lot. I'm surprised the 2 haven't hooked up prior to this, considering their similarities. They cover a lot of the same song topics and have that same, working man, small town roots kind of thing. Although it's hard to consider yourself a small town boy if you're in New Jersey, which I think is the most heavily populated, or most densely populated state in the nation. But
Guys, okay.
Okay, one other real quick thing. Bob Dylan is going to be going back on tour, and he's going to resume what was called his never-ending tour. And he's going to be going out this fall, and that is the longest break that he's had from the road since 1981 to 1984. And it's called the Rough and Rowdy Ways Tour, and of course it's hooked up to his newest album, Rough and Rowdy Ways. And he's starting in Milwaukee. It'll be his first public performance since 2019. He'll be in the Midwest, hitting Chicago, Cleveland, Bloomington, Illinois, and then he's going off to the East Coast after that. And this leg of the tour wraps up in Washington, D.C. on December 2nd. He is not coming anywhere near, well, I guess Bloomington's kind of close to St. Louis, but he's not coming anywhere near KC. But he is going to be in the Midwest. So.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to pause the recording here. I think I have a smoke alarm that the
That's what it sounds like.
Because it keeps beeping at me. Hold on, I'm going to pause it and then we'll. So Dylan's going out on tour. He's not going to need a chair or a cane or anything like, you know.
Apparently, he's still going strong, even though he's 80 something now.
Yeah. Good for him. Huh? Well, he's mostly just going to stay on the East Coast. He's not coming to the Midwest.
No, this leg of the tour is starting in the Midwest, and all his shows are in the Midwest, and then he's moving off to the East Coast. He's got a 3-night stint at the Beacon in New York, and he's going to wind up the tour in Washington, D.C. But the first half of it's here in the Midwest.
Okay, you're just saying he's just not going to be around St. Louis.
Right. The closest I guess he made St. Louis is Bloomington, Illinois.
Oh, okay.
You know, drivable if you really want to see Dylan.
Right.
Nothing close to KC though.
Okay. He doesn't like Missouri for some reason.
Yeah, I should have went to see him when he was at Starlight a couple of years ago.
I saw him once at an outdoor event in Washington D.C. God, it's been 30 years ago, and yeah, it's pretty good. Do you have anything for us?
Okay. Technically, this next artist is not really a classic rocker, but he's well known. He's had several crossover, and I just thought it was notable of our old friend and vocalist and jazz trumpeter Herb Alpert has a new album out.
Wow.
Came out looks like September 23rd, and it's called Catch the Wind, with tunes like Slick, Smile, and Dance With Me. And the thing about Herb is, he turned 86 this year, and he's finishing up a tour that had dates scheduled in late 2020, but it's just a small tour. It starts in January 22nd of 22 in Tucson. There's about maybe 13 dates. And Herb Alpert, he's out there, he's touring, and also known for hits as A Taste of Honey, This Guy's in Love With You, and many, many others. And of course, also Herb was co-founder of A&M Records.
Right.
So he's quite a force, many, many albums. So Herb Alpert, he hasn't put down the trumpet yet. So
how old is he?
86.
80. Oh, I thought he was older than that.
Pardon the cliche, but I didn't know he was still alive.
Well, I bought one of his recordings a few years ago. It was kind of interesting, I guess it was about 5 years ago. And he did some remakes of a couple Michael Jackson songs and stuff. It was, it was contemporary, but it was still Herb Alpert. No vocals, though.
When I was a kid, I had the Tijuana Brass album, "What Cream and Other Delights." Remember that?
I remember that one.
With that iconic
album cover.
Yep.
Yeah, well, when you're 12 years old, that's monumental.
That's right.
That's like the Mount Rushmore of album covers.
Exactly. That was a holy grail of album covers when we were kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dug our pleasures there. No, dug our treasures there. Found our pleasures there. Yeah, whatever the line is.
Couple of old rockers are done. Of course, David Lee Roth has announced a couple days ago that he's retired. He's done. He's not going to perform anymore. He's just going to go live the quiet life. And George Frayne. Do you know who George Frayne is?
Commander Cody.
Commander Cody. He died at the age of 77 this week.
I saw Commander Cody in concert many years ago in the it was the late 70s with the old high school. He was the oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, his Lost Planet Airmen, right? Yeah,
Yes.
he died of cancer. Had the big hits back in the 70s, Hot Rod Lincoln and Smoke That Cigarette.
That was it. It was we saw them at the American Theater in St. Louis. But
And of course, he also cut a song that reflected many times how low my life got for me. Down the seeds and stems again.
Yeah, I remember that one. Anyway, yep. Goodbye to George Frayne, and also goodbye to David Lee Roth. And I'm going to pause this again. I've got to get that. Okay, so last week when I think we were talking about it was a Meatloaf birthday, and we got to a discussion about the movie Fight Club, and Bob said that he's one of the only people on the planet who's never seen the movie Fight Club. And so we were talking after we taped our show last week, and we decided that Bob ought to take a look at Fight Club and come back and give us a review. But before we start, I want to make one correction on something I made last week. Meatloaf, regarding Meatloaf, I said that Meatloaf's real name is Marvin Aday, is his birthday, is his birth name, and I said that he was credited in this movie as Marvin Aday, not as Meatloaf. That was incorrect. Where I got that from, it was a Roger Ebert review of the movie Fight Club, where Roger Ebert referred to him as Marvin Aday. And so that's where I thought he didn't get the credit. But they did the credits a little weird, because in the opening credit, he's credited as Meatloaf. But if you watch the end credits at the end of the movie, he's credited as Meatloaf Aday. So anyway, so I just wanted to set that straight. Anyway, Bob, did you watch the movie?
Yes, I did.
And
I finished it last night, and I started and stopped it about 2 or 3 times. So I'm still trying to digest the film and come up with my final feeling about it. Quite honestly,
what's your first feeling about it?
What's my first feeling about it? My first gut reaction after finishing the film is I had a real hard time coming up with an idea of what their message behind the movie was. Whether it was an examination of schizophrenia and mental illnesses, or whether they were trying to make a social commentary, or both. And if they were trying to do a social commentary, I thought it was claptrap. There were some interesting elements to the film, but quite honestly, had I not been on an assignment to watch it, I don't know if I would have finished it. So, like I say, I'm still digesting the full impact of the film.
I'm going to stay with you for
So.
a long time, all right?
What didn't you like about it?
What did I not like about it?
Yeah.
Well, if we're dealing with social commentary, I'm I'm assuming that they were making commentary about consumerism, about getting yourself stuck into, a meaningless job, and how, we're driven for material possessions, and making a comment about modern life. And I understand those can all be issues for people, but ending it up with this great expression of anarchy by blowing up. Well, I guess I'm going to give away the plot, but
Well, that's all right. It's a, it's
old enough
it was
people
made in
to-
1999, so it's
So,
like,
but,
you can't go overboard with the spoilers on a,
true.
you
So
25
by
year-old.
blowing up all of the credit card companies, we're going to free people from their credit card debt, and let them have free lives of open expression now, which is sentimental claptrap. I mean, we're way past, the days of agrarian economy where you could go grab a couple acres of land, and make your own way in life. And I thought that was kind of a simplistic viewpoint. And I felt cheated by the movie a little bit when, it suddenly segued into the character played by Brad Pitt seemingly doesn't even exist at all, and it is now a manifestation of schizophrenia and dual personalities. And I felt a little cheated by that. So, I think it's a movie that I may have to watch a couple times to fully access what they were trying to do with it. It's so, like I say, I'm still trying to make up my mind on it. There were some elements that I really liked, and so I'm still mixed feelings about it.
D, how long has it been since you've seen Fight Club?
Since it first came out in 1999,
Oh,
about right before I started, going out with Leslie. But my date, she says, "Oh, we have to see this movie." I thought, well, okay, Brad Pitt's in it. I had not read any reviews, so I was going into it totally unprepared, and I thought, yeah, is this guy slowing? Is it about schizophrenia? Is it about mental illness, or is it a big statement against the corporate bad guys? And I thought the ending was supposed to be some kind of either a catharsis for somebody that's mentally unstable or an over-the-top statement. It was one of those movies that I thought, okay, I've seen it. I really don't need to see it again. And the other point of it is, it was made, 2 years before 9/11, and I don't think they would have made that movie after 9/11, just given the
that's true. That's a good point. Yeah,
the tenor of the times.
yeah.
So
This was, but obviously it was made before 9/11. It was obviously made before the age of Trumpism, but now that we've lived through 9/11 and we've lived through the age of Trumpism, watching this movie now, I watched it this week for the first time in a lot of years. It's about the sixth or seventh time I've watched the movie, but it's first time in several years, and that was my thought of it when I was watching the movie, is that it's a much different movie now after we've lived through 9/11 and after we lived through Trumpism. It seems a little naive and over the top. I mean, it was over the top. There's no question it was over the top. But I don't know. I'm thinking, Bob. I'm thinking you might be taking it a little too seriously. I don't think it was. I don't think it was made to make any kind of serious point about consumerism or anything like that. I think these are just all flashpoints that it hit. I think it was more of a I think it was more of a movie about this guy's mental illness than anything than any cultural significance, uh, and how it affected the people around him. But like I say, the whole to me the biggest thing that has changed what I got out of that movie was the 4 years we lived through just now with Trump as our president. It just, I kept thinking this whole idea of blind cultism here, and relating it to that, which I don't know if that was really an intended point or an intended meaning of this movie, but it became that now watching it after we're living through this, this whole thing with QAnon now now moving into the mainstream and stuff. And that made it a much scarier movie than I think it really was in the beginning.
Wow.
It was made.
I trying to figure out what the movie was about, I completely missed the QAnon and the Trump connection, and that makes me look at it in a totally different viewpoint.
Well, it's not, it's not a connection, but it's just the way that it's just a different way of seeing this movie now, after we've gone through that, and now we see. I mean, that whole thing of it being a cult around this guy and he being a leader, and they not question the leader because they're told not to question the leader, and yada da da da. I think that was all just whimsy and fantasy when the movie was written and when the movie was made, but now it's more of a scary proposition than it used to be. It used to be just kind of a roll your eyes, just kind of laugh and a little bit of dark humor, but it's not so humorous anymore.
And now we have life imitating art.
Yeah.
And I do want to correct you on one point. It's not gone through the Trump years; it's going through the Trump years.
Well, yeah, okay.
We're living in a world where a majority of Republicans still refuse to accept the fact that he lost an election, despite evidence and evidence and evidence. They just won't believe it. And,
Yeah, right.
We almost had anarchy on January 6th. So thinking about it in that regard, it is kind of a scary, maybe a prophetic thing. I think the issue that I have with the movie, and I'm going to admit being very naive here, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to the film when it first came out because I took it literally. I thought it was about underground fighting, which is something I don't care about. So I had no interest in seeing the movie. No matter how good the actors were, I don't care about, underground fighting or MMA fighting or whatever. So that's why I ignored it. That's what I thought it was about, all of these years, just literally about underground fighting. And then when I started watching it, I'm kind of like, what the heck is this? This is not really about underground fighting,
right.
And then I thought, well, it's going to be a buddy picture about, an unorthodox guy dragging somebody out of his button-down shell, and then it became something. Then it became like mental illness. Then it became social commentary. So I was just really confused about the movie because it was kind of buffeting me in so many different directions.
Yeah, there are a lot of different flashpoints there, and you could focus in on many different things, and that's why I say maybe you're taking it a little bit too seriously because you're trying to pull something meaningful out of it when I think they were where I take it more as like I say, they were just flashpoints. They were just saying, just make a quick comment about this, make a quick comment about that, make a quick comment about this, make a quick comment about that. And I think we're basically really what Fincher was, David Fincher, the director, what he was making here. And it was based on a novel by Chuck Palahniuk. which Fincher, as you make movies from books, you don't go. Most of the time you're just hitting highlights, and you're not getting too deep into any one particular aspect. And I don't know, I just always took it, and I thought it was a very well crafted movie. I thought it was, for, especially in its time when I first saw it, it was a very anarchic movie. I mean, this movie did things that and made points that you just didn't do in the movie and polite society back back in those days. But there were, but I think it was more of a just, let's just make a quick little point on about half a dozen different things, and just let's shock a few people along the way.
Even though I'm still kind of confused about the movie, I would actually recommend people see it. The acting I think there's some tremendous acting in it. And this was one of the early films that proved that Brad Pitt was more than just a pretty face and Jennifer Aniston's boyfriend. Edward Norton is an understated actor. So the acting was great. And I think that if you can get a handle on what the movie's trying to say, it could be a meaningful experience to watch it. I would recommend people see it just for the experience alone.
It's really dark. It's a really dark movie. That was one of the first things that struck me when I just rewatched it again this week. It's just really dark, and goes into some dark places in the human psyche, but it was but it was just dominated. The whole overriding thing of this was this just seriously dark humor that was going on. Talking about making all these scenes with how Brad Pitt was overturning the social structure by peeing in the lobster bisque and and splicing porno frames of porno movies into the family movies that he was showing in the theaters. And did you catch that theme that ran through with the little subliminal hints that were going on throughout the movie? Where you just see a flash of one frame here, and a flash of one frame here, and it's one of those things where I saw the movie 2 or 3 times. I never saw this stuff, and then I read about it. Now, when I watch the movie, I can't not see these things. In the first half hour of the movie, about 4 different times, there's a little flash. You don't see what it is, but then I got the DVD back when it first came out, and I started reading these, and so I would stop, I would pause it and stop it when I was watching the DVD at these points, and you would see what's going on. About 3 or 4 times in the first half hour of the movie, they flash a picture of it puts Brad Pitt in the scene, it puts Tyler Durden in the scene, to where it's supposed to be this Tyler Durden personality breaking through to this guy's psyche, And there's one scene where he's in one of the focus groups, and they have a shot of the focus group leader talking. All of a sudden, you see a flash. Well, that flash is Brad Pitt standing there behind the focus group leader. Another one when the narrator, they never give him a name, the narrator, Edward Norton's character, when he's talking to his doctor, all of a sudden you see Brad Pitt flashing behind his doctor. And one scene where he is talking to Helena Bonham Carter out in the street, all of a sudden Brad Pitt flashes behind Helena Bonham Carter. Yeah. And then there was a scene where he talked about how Tyler Durden, the Brad Pitt character, was splicing porno shots into these movies at the show, family movies. At the end of the movie, just right before the closing credits, there's a little flash, and it's a picture. It's a big dick picture taken out of a porno film. It just flashes right before the end credits. And now that I know that it's there, every time I see that, I can't not see that. It's amazing. Yeah. But I took it for more. He was more going for just really dark anarchic humor, I think, than he was really making any kind of serious sociological points or anything like that. But to me, I thought the overriding theme of it, or the overriding theme or message or whatever, was just it was making a point in the end about this guy's mental illness and what it did to him and what it did to the people around him, and how it became such a dangerous thing, not only for him, but everybody who he came in contact with. I don't know. That's just me. Yeah, I don't. And I love the line at the end where Edward Norton and Helena Bonham Carter are standing there watching all the buildings fall around them. And then he just turns to her, he grabs her hand, turns to her, looked at her, said, "You met me at a very strange time in my life." Anyway, I've always, ever since I saw it in the theater when it first came out, and I've seen it several times since then. It's always been one of my favorites. I just loved it. And I do think there's been a lot written about this movie. It became a flashpoint movie, especially in David Fincher's career, because Fincher's become such a successful such a successful director over the years. So this film has been studied quite a bit and still is, and it's become quite a cult classic. But I don't know. I think this was one of those instances where I don't know, people may be looking for things that aren't really there. I don't know. I just take it as a highly entertaining, darkly humorous movie with a nice little twist at the end. And again, like I said last week, now if you watch that movie again, knowing what you know the twist is at the end of the movie, now when I watch it, I focus now on the Marla Singer character, Helena Bonham Carter, because you see that character in a completely different light, because her motivations are completely different now than what you thought they were when you first were watching the movie, right? She'd fallen in love with this guy, and he's just making her crazy. Because she can't figure out what the hell's going on with him, because you've got she's getting two different messages from this guy. Well, yeah, now we know why. The two different messages we were getting are coming from the same person and not from two different people, right? So anyway, I just thought it would be fun to have Bob do that. We're gonna try to do this going forward. Just get more into some movies and some TV shows, and see if we can add a little bit to the discussion of some of these things. So anyway, let's get to anniversaries and birthdays. I'll try to make this pretty quick. We're about 40 minutes now. But Sunday, since this is now Monday in our world, yesterday, on 3rd of October, 1992, 29 years ago, was the night that Sinead O'Connor appeared on Saturday Night Live and ripped up the picture of the Pope. Remember the controversy that caused, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. That was unplanned. That was unrehearsed. She just did it impromptu, and it freaked everybody out. She sang this. I don't know what song she sang, but at the end, she was making a statement on that. That was when a lot of Catholic bishops were being caught with abusing kids. And so she just grabbed a picture of the Pope, ripped it up, and the station immediately went to commercial. Lord Michaels called cut. They immediately went to commercial, and NBC was fined $2.5 million by the FCC on that. And Sinead O'Connor never again appeared on Saturday Night Live or any other network TV show.
Didn't that pretty much cause the spiral end of her career? I mean, because she's like off the radar totally now.
No, she's back and forth. She still appeared. I mean, she was a huge star at the time. She's not the huge star like she used to be, but she still worked. But she wasn't there some incident a few months ago where she tried to commit suicide, I think, and that became news. Yeah. She's worked since then. She's just never been on any network TV shows or anything because she's poison.
I didn't think she had any, was doing any recording, definitely no touring. I mean, she's like blackballed.
Okay, 51 years ago today, Monday, 4th of October, 1970 was the day that Janis Joplin was found dead at the Landmark Hotel Hollywood after an accidental heroin overdose. That was the first of three big ones of the 27 Club. It was shortly after that when Hendrix died, and not too long after that when Jim Morrison died. That was a spate of them, and she had her most successful album and single, "The Pearl," and "Me and Bobby McGee" were posthumous, or released after she died. Also, another death anniversary on 4th of October in 2014, 7 years ago. Following a battle with cancer, Paul Revere Dick expired. He was better known as Paul Revere. Paul Revere was his birth name was Paul Revere Dick, but yeah, it was Paul Revere and the Raiders. He died 7 years ago after battling cancer. Tuesday, 59 years ago, the Beatles' debut single, "Love Me Do," was released in the UK. It spent 26 weeks on the charts. It never got higher than number 17. But George Martin later said that when "Love Me Do" was released, the whole world changed. Tuesday is the 55th anniversary of the first time that Jimi Hendrix, Mitch Mitchell, and Noel Redding played together for the first time. Of course, that was a Jimi Hendrix experience in the UK. Wednesday, 2 years ago Wednesday, will be the death of Ginger Baker, drummer of Cream. He'd been sick for a long time, several different illnesses. We're not sure exactly what it was that caused his demise. He was discovered, by the way, and got hooked up with a band called the Alexis Corners Blues Incorporated. That was his first professional gig, on the advice of Charlie Watts, who saw him when they were kids. Also Wednesday is the first anniversary. Last October 6th of 2020, Eddie Van Halen expired. Throat cancer. So it was pretty much a year to the day, 51 weeks later when David Lee Roth retired. So it looks like that bad. Okay, the Thursday, we talked about this on Geezerology before. Thursday will be the 53rd anniversary of Jose Feliciano's performance of the Star Spangled Banner that caused the controversy. Actually, that was in Detroit. That wasn't in St. Louis. I was mistaken. It was a 1968 World Series between the Cardinals and the Tigers, but this was in Detroit where this happened. It was before the 5th game of the World Series. And you know something? The Cardinals had a 3-1 lead in that series when Jose Feliciano made the travesty of the national anthem and the Cardinals didn't win another game after that.
They should have ended the series right there. They were overconfident and they took their foot off the gas.
Oh my God. Yeah, but he did the slow bluesy delivery of the Star Spangled Banner, and he got banned on a lot of radio stations. And yeah, it was the same level of controversy as Sinead O'Connor had on Saturday Night Live. It wasn't, it wasn't as long lasting as all.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, everybody thinks that the Cardinals lost that World Series because Lou Brock didn't slide in the sixth inning, that fifth game. No, it was because Jose Feliciano.
Yeah, it was because of sure.
Yeah. Okay, Thursday, 45 years ago Thursday, John Lennon was awarded his green card, and he became a permanent resident of the U.S., which overturned several efforts by the government to deport him on a marijuana bust. Three-judge panel of the U.S. Court of Appeals ruled that his 1968 arrest in Britain for possession of marijuana was, quote, contrary to U.S. ideas of due process and was invalid as a means of banishing the former Beatle from America. So Richard Nixon and J. Edgar Hoover lost that battle. And after that, Lennon never set foot on British soil again after that. Never did. Saturday will be the 48th anniversary of the divorce of Elvis and Priscilla Presley. 6 years, they were married for 6 years, and Priscilla was awarded $725,000 in cash and $4,200 a month alimony.
Thank you very much.
Cheap, yeah. Saturday will be the 40th anniversary of, the Rolling Stones played the first of two nights at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles during their tour in 1981, but the opening act was Prince. And Prince came out on stage dressed in bikini briefs and a trench coat, and the audience booed him off the stage after 15 minutes. Started booing him and throwing beer cans at him, and he left. Of the 1981, that was before Prince became a star.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, birthdays. Sunday was the 83rd birthday of Eddie Cochran, who had the big hit single in 1958, Summertime Blues. Later covered by The Who and several others, right? He was killed in a car crash in 1960 when he was at the age of 21.
One note about, I think, wasn't the movie Eddie and the Cruisers loosely based on the story?
I believe so.
Eddie Cochran's wife.
I believe so, yep. Sunday was the 80th birthday of Chubby Checker, known for The Twist. Did you know this? The Twist is the only song ever to go to '1 in the U.S. singles chart two separate times. It went to #1 in 1960, and it was re-released in 1962 and hit #1 again. It's the only time this ever happened. The Twist was not a Chubby Checker original. That was actually a cover of a song.
Joey D.
I believe so. Yes. Yeah. I just learned that. I never knew that. Sunday was the 72nd birthday of Lindsey Buckingham of Fleetwood Mac. Sunday was also the 67th birthday of Stevie Ray Vaughan, who left us far too soon. Sunday is the 59th birthday of Tommy Lee, drummer, founding member of Motley Crue, former husband of actresses Heather Locklear and Pamela Anderson. Sunday was the 52nd anniversary of Gwen Stefani, vocalist with No Doubt. Whatever happened to them? I haven't heard from them in a long time. They were pretty hot for a while. And also on Sunday was the 37th birthday of former pop star Ashley Simpson. Monday, today, the 44th birthday of Richard Reed Perry of Arcade Fire, who we're going to talk about on Wednesday on Geezerology. Tuesday will be the 78th birthday of Steve Miller, the Joker. Tuesday will be the 74th birthday of Brian Johnson, the founder, one of the founders of AC/DC, who died of appendicitis. I say that there's a little ironic story here. Bon Scott, who replaced Brian Johnson in AC/DC, went to see AC/DC on stage, and Johnson was singing on stage, and then all of a sudden Johnson started screaming at the top of his voice and rolling around on the stage, and got carried off. And Bon Scott and everybody else thought it was just part of this wild ass show that AC/DC was doing. Well, no, he was Brian Johnson had an appendicitis attack. Yep. Went to the hospital and died. Tuesday will be the 73rd birthday of Russell Mael of Sparks. It will also be the 70th birthday of Bob Geldof, formerly of the Boomtown Rats and the founder of Live Aid, which kicked off all those big monster charity concerts of the 80s. Geldof was the originator of that. Yeah. Wednesday will be the 67th birthday of David Hidalgo from Los Lobos. Wednesday will be the 55th birthday of Tommy Stinson, former bassist with the Replacements, one of the definitive alternative rock bands of the 90s into the 2000s. Wednesday, another Arcade Fire birthday, Will Butler. He'll be 39. Thursday will be the 76th birthday of Kevin Godley, whose former partner Lol Cream had a birthday last week. Remember, Godley from 10cc and Godley and Cream. Thursday will be the 70th birthday of John Mellencamp, who we talked about earlier. Just did some recording with Bruce Springsteen. Thursday will be the 53rd birthday of Tom York, Radiohead, big 1993 single Creep. Friday will be the 36th birthday of Bruno Mars, American singer-songwriter and record producer. And Saturday, several birthdays on Saturday, most notable of which would have been the 81st birthday of John Lennon. 81, and sharing a birthday. I'd forgotten this. I knew this, but I forgot it. But sharing a birthday Saturday with John Lennon is his son, Sean Ono Lennon, who will be 46 on Saturday. He was born on his father's 35th birthday. Also Saturday, sharing a birthday with the Lennons is John Entwistle, formerly of The Who left us in 2002. Also Saturday, 77th birthday of Nona Hendrix of LaBelle. Saturday, the 73rd birthday of Jackson Browne, who we discussed last week on Geezerology. And wrapping it up, sharing a birthday on Saturday with John Lennon also is Polly Jean Harvey, who will be 51 years old. PJ Harvey, who was very big in England for the last several decades. Anyway, anniversaries and birthdays. Anybody else have anything before we wrap up Geezerology Gazette?
Yeah, I want to segue back to Sinead O'Connor real quickly. Looked up a Wikipedia page about her, and that SNL thing wasn't the only controversy that she generated. And interesting, a couple weeks after Saturday Night Live, she was scheduled to do a concert performance for a 30th anniversary tribute to Bob Dylan. And it seems when she came out on stage, the crowd got so loud, either cheering and booing her both, that she gave up on trying to perform her song and instead had the microphone turned up and did a shouted version of War, and then walked off the stage. And then she ignited the Catholic Church controversy thing again when she came on a British TV program. She openly attacked Prince, and then at one point she converted to Islam. And after she converted to Islam, she put out a tweet calling those who are not Muslims disgusting, and criticized Christian and Jewish theologians, and said, "I truly never want to spend time with white people again if that's what non-Muslims are called. Not for any one moment, for any reason, they are disgusting." And then she later on came out and apologized for that, saying she was just trying to get Twitter to cancel her account.
Yeah, she's popped up. She's popped up in controversy several times since then. I know that.
And then she later on came out and said that she's been officially diagnosed bipolar, and she did make a suicide attempt. So,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, she's had some serious mental health issues, and it's been very public.
Yeah.
Been very public. Okay. So that wraps up the Geezerology Gazette for this week. Join us again next Monday when we'll have another edition of the Gazette, and we'll talk about a movie or a TV show. We'll figure it out after a little later in the week. We'll figure out what we're going to do. Come back Wednesday and check us out. We're going to talk about Arcade Fire's debut album Funeral from 2000. I believe it's 2004 was the date of that release. And a few other things coming up in the next few weeks. So thanks for joining us, everybody. See you later.